So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, in this video, I'm going to be going through updated 2021 Ecomm outreach methods and really outreach methods that's going to actually warrant you, 2, 3, 4, 5K a month e-commerce clients. So basically, I'm going to be discussing 3 distinctive outreach methods that you want to be implementing on. Each of these 3 have been proven by myself. Students of the community are using these exact same 3 methods as well. And then at the end of the video, I'm also going to go through a method that nobody speaks about, but it's vital that you do it because this is what's going to separate you from all of the other agencies that are reaching out to those same clients. Now, as always, just before we jump into the video, make sure you go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You guys know massively helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And with that being said, let's jump straight into it. So essentially there's 3 main methods of outreach. Now, all of them are email outreach, right? Just because email outreach is honestly the best way to get e-commerce clients, but there's different ways, there's different routes that you can go down under the broad umbrella of email outreach, right? So each of the 3 are going to warrant different results. So what I highly recommend that you do is you test for yourself each of the 3 to see what works best for you. Because I know for me, the 3rd method I'm going to talk about works best, but then I know for a bunch of the students in the community, the 1st method works best and some for the 2nd works best as well. So with that being said, as I say, make sure you go ahead and give each sample a fair test, give it each a sample a good go so that you can measure with the correct numbers. You're not just sending one of each and kind of just, because that, put it this way, it could be a fluke if you get a client. From sending one email per method, you may get one client, but it's probably going to be a fluke. So make sure you give each method a good sample size. I would say like 50 emails of each type, and then from there you'll be able to really understand what's working better for you, and then from that point you can obviously triple down into what's working best for you. So let's get into it. Method number 1 is just a basic 3-part email sequence. Actually, my first 7 e-commerce clients came through a scripted 3-part email sequence, like entirely scripted. But what I recommend you do is you just make that first line personalized, because that's going to break that ice and it's going to show them that you have done a bit of research about the brand. And then when they start to read through the rest of the email, they're going to be in the mind frame that it's a personalized email because that first line is, right? So I highly recommend that you make it personalized. Just the first line, the rest of it can be scripted. So in that 3-part email sequence, the first email must break the ice. So, I always try and make my emails as unique as possible because that's what separates my agency from everybody else's, and you wanted to be doing the same. You do not want to be coming across as the same as everybody else because they're just going to treat you the same as everybody else and just disregard your email entirely, right? So at that point, there's no point in you putting in all this time to do email outreach. So first email, you want to do personalized line and then kind of break the ice, introduce who you are and what you do. Don't say that like, oh, I'm an agent, I'm a social media marketing agency owner, I help e-commerce brands get to the next level. Don't say that. It's so bland and it's so boring. It's not going to invoke any sort of a motivation within the client, and that's what you want, right? Or the prospect at that point. You want to invoke motivation within them because that's what's going to get them to either book in a call or reply back or whatever it is. If it's just like, I'm a social media marketing agency owner that helps e-commerce brands scale to the next level, it's just bland, it's boring, and it's not going to do anything. So make sure that your intro is it's enticing and it makes them excited, right? Gets them excited. That's the idea behind it. And then at the end, so that's the first bit, personalized line, kind of who you are, what you do, why you're reaching out, and then have your CTA. The CTA means call to action. It's like, what's the point of that first email? You got a couple routes you can go down here. You can make it either you can ask straight for a call, or you can ask them if they are interested, and then you can kind of get a conversation going, and then you can transition them to the call. Or you can ask them a specific question. That's also a good way to get a good conversation going. Like ask them what does their ROAS currently look like? Something like that, because that's going to get the conversation going. It's going to also enable you to see a little bit about their brand behind the scenes. And then from there, as I say, you can kind of transition the conversation over to a call, which can act as a sales call. That's the first email of the 3-part email sequence. What you want to do then is send, obviously, if they don't open that email within 2 business days, you want to follow up with them with the second email. Now, the second email needs to come from a place of like understanding and empathy. Like you need to show them that you understand that they get reached out to all the time. They get emails of this nature all the time. And you know, you just really need to make sure that they feel as though you understand how they're feeling. Like, if you know, I literally say in my follow-up emails, like, look, I understand I'm a complete stranger to you. You have no idea. You probably think we're another one of those marketing agency, agency owners or marketing agencies that are just trying to flog their service and they actually don't know how to get good results. And then I like to add in a case study within the second email, because it kind of subtly flexes, and it also just naturally shows them that you know what you're doing. Because look, this is actually one of our clients, we got X, Y, and Z results, and you know, your brand holds very similar traits to this brand, and so this is why I'm reaching out to you, kind of like that, right? And then the third email oftentimes is just kind of a goodbye email. You just want to kind of touch bases with them one last time, and just, you know, make sure that they know that you're not going to be reaching out to them anymore, but give them one last chance to take action on the call to action, whatever that may be for you personally. One thing I will say is that you're always going to make sure you're replying to the original email. Keep your emails in the same thread, right? Reason being is because if they read email one and then bounce and don't reply back, so you send a follow-up email but it's in a different thread, they may not like remember who you were or whatever. So it's like the second email should add on to the first email, but if they don't remember the first email, then it's going to be somebody new and it's just not going to work. There's going to be a lot of disconnect. So you want to make sure that you reply to each email that you send, so that they can always just scroll up and then just see the first one, right? The third one, they can see the previous two. That's going to help with conversion rates, and it also helps with email deliverability as well, because, you know, a lot of the times I get asked a question like how you say to do like 20 to 30 email outreaches a day. Does that include follow-ups? Well, no, it doesn't include follow-ups, because if you reply in the same thread, it's not going to create a new email. So that doesn't count as one email sent that day if it's in the same thread, right? It's only counts as one email sent is if you compose a new email and then kind of go through that process. So that's the first outreach structure. That's the first method, right? And again, these are 2021 methods. These are going to be battle tested all throughout of we have battle tested them throughout 2020, and these are going to be exactly what we're going to be using in 2021 as well. So make sure you action on them, because you will get clients from it. I can basically guarantee you, as long as you stay consistent with them over a long period of time, especially from these last two methods. These last two methods that I'm going to talk about are definitely applicable in 2021, just as much as the first one. But these last two methods are ones that I'm personally implementing on as well within my own agency. So second one is cold looms. Now, I'm not a fan of cold looms because, you know, it takes so much time. It's very time intensive. And at the end of the day, you never really know if the client that you're sending it to is actually interested. Because you may find clients who are really qualified, but they're just simply not interested. Like, they just genuinely don't care for whatever reason. Now, it's annoying because a lot of these types of brands who just genuinely aren't interested oftentimes have the most potential. And I can see it as a marketing agency owner. I can see, I'm like, oh my God, just if we can run ads for you, you're going to make so much money. But sometimes they're just not interested. So, you know, when doing cold looms, you may spend 20 minutes doing a cold loom and you just send it to somebody who's just genuinely not interested. It's a waste of time. But what I do recommend is that you start to do like 2 to 3 loom videos a day, cold loom videos a day, to those brands that are absolutely perfect, right? When you're doing your outreaching, you always come across those brands where you just get that gut feeling like, oh my God, this brand is amazing. I would absolutely love to work with this brand. Those types of brands, you probably find 2 to 3 of them a day. Put those aside and send 10 to 15 minute cold looms to those brands. In the loom, you can kind of cover anything you want, really. There's no specific structure like do this, then this, then this. What I like to do is just provide a whole heap of value and show them that, like, you know, give them enough value where they're like, oh my God, this is really helpful, but also structure it in a way where they're like, there's so much I need to learn. You know, I don't know about you guys, but when I learn about a new subject or a new topic or whatever it is, the more I learn about it, the more I realize like what I don't know. Like, there's so much more I don't know as I learn more, if that makes sense. And you want to kind of have that, you want to try and impede that feeling onto the prospects. Like, you walk through all this different stuff, provide them genuine value. That's one thing that I will say. Make sure it's genuine. It's not hollow value, like, you know, oh, you need to run more ads. Like, that's not actionable. Yeah, they can run more ads, but if it's not profitable, they're not going to run more ads. So show them how to make those, you know, mention that they do need to run ads, more ads, but mention, you know, how they can go about it in a profitable way, like genuinely help them. But also by doing that, as I say, you're naturally going to impede that feeling onto them where it's like they start to realize how much they actually don't know as they learn more. If that makes sense, I hope that makes sense. That's kind of what I always do in my Loom videos, provide a genuine value and a lot of it. give them exact audiences to target, give them exact copy variations to use, all that type of stuff. And then at the end of the Loom video, that's where you can pitch your call, because you've kind of provided a whole heap of value. And if you've kind of given them that feeling where like, oh, they feel as though they don't know hardly anything now that they've understood a little bit more, at that point, if you pitch the call in a way that makes sense and it's a good way of pitching the call, your conversion rate is going to be a lot higher, because they've been warmed up. You've kind of sold them indirectly, and then once you pitch the call, if booking the call, that process is frictionless as possible, you're going to see a very, very good outreach to meeting book rate. And once you've kind of got a good Loom strategy, Loom structure down packed, and you start to see some really good results come from it, you can kind of switch it up and go maybe like 10 videos a day. Right? Because you're getting a better meeting book rate. So that's the second video. That's the second approach. That works really well, but I would not recommend starting off with 10 10 Loom videos a day or something like that. Start off with like 2 to 3, get your structure down packed, and then you can start to build it out more as you see the results come with it. Now, follow-up emails for these types of outreach emails, like the Loom outreach videos, you don't want to have any sort of lengthy follow-up emails in place or anything like that. All you want your follow-up emails to do is bump that Loom video back to the top. Again, we're always replying in the same thread, and you just kind of want to send bump emails, and you always want to try and redirect the traffic back to that Loom video, right? Because you put a lot of time into that Loom video and you want them to watch it, because that's what's going to sell them. If somebody's going to book in a call, that Loom video is what's going to do it. Right? So you want to just push them back to watching that Loom video. And if they've already watched it, you'll be able to tell, because Loom will tell you. If they've already watched it, then get their thoughts on it and get them to book in a call, see what they're thinking about it. And then obviously, as I say, further, you can transition them into booking in a call. Now, the third and final approach, and this is actually the approach we're implementing at Bax Consulting right now with our appointment setters. Third and final approach is asking for a case study. So it's similar to it's a combination of approach 1 and approach 2, right? The first approach being kind of scripted, the first personalized line, and then approach 2 being Loom videos. This third approach is basically a combination of both of them, right? So basically what we do is we send them an email, personalized first line, the rest is scripted, but the CTA of these emails is to ask them if you'd like to see a case study, and within that case study, we're going to show them or walk them through how we took a client from whatever your case studies is, right? For us right now, it's how we took a client from $0 to, I think it's like 1.3 million brought in 2020, right? Just in the ads manager. And then I kind of position that case study as like no downside, right? It would be almost stupid of them to not say that they're interested in it, because what's going to happen is they're going to watch it and they're going to be able to walk away. I basically say worst case scenario, like outright say this. I'm very transparent in my emails. Basically what I say is, worst case scenario is that they're going to walk away with some actionable audiences to implement, some actionable ad copy creatives to implement, ad copy to implement, creatives to implement, etc. There's like almost no downside, and you'll find that your response rate with those types of emails is very, very high, because a lot of people are interested, right? Why wouldn't they say yes to seeing a case study where they can pull some actionable things and implement it into their own brand completely for free? Like, it's completely fine, So you'll see the reply rates on those emails is very high, and then what that enables you to do is then, once they respond saying yes, you can send them over a personalized Loom video, but then that you're spending 15, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, but you're sending it to a prospect who's genuinely interested. So you can spend a little bit more time, go a little bit more deeper, because that time is going to be used well, because it's going to a prospect who's genuinely interested. So those work really well. And in that Loom video, in the case study that you send over, again, it's a very, very similar process to the first one. You walk them through the case study and you give them, again, some genuine value, like genuinely help them. Like, I often get asked, like, Kai, do you think I'm going overboard with value, or can you ever give too much value? But you just can't. I genuinely don't believe you can ever give too much value, because even if you tell them audiences to target, you give them ad creatives to use, you tell them to do this, this, and this, there's still so much more that they need, which is where you can come in, but there's still so much more that they need in order to make that process as successful as possible. So you may be feeling as though you're giving away all your best tips, but for number one, they're probably not going to go away and implement it, right? Number two, there's a lot more that goes into it, so they're not going to be able to use it to its height or to its fullest potential. So go overboard with value, because it's what's genuinely going to help you book calls. Like, it's what helps us book way more calls is when we provide genuine value, right? In my new agency VSL, it's jam-packed of genuine value. Okay, so make sure you do that in those Loom videos, and then follow-ups for that style. Again, it's identical to the approach number 2, which is the cold Looms. What you want to do is send bump emails, but you keep the same CTA. Now, what you do, I suppose it's not identical, because the difference is email 1, you go through a process to get them to the CTA, and then you want to ask them if they, the CTA being asking them if they want to see a case study. Email 2, if you take the same approach to asking for that CTA, they're not going to respond again, because that's why they didn't respond the first time. It didn't hit them. It didn't resonate with them as much as it should have, and that's why they didn't respond. So email 2, you want to, it's again, replying identical, all of that type of stuff, but take a different approach to the CTA, because by you taking a different approach, it may resonate with them more, and it's at that point that you get that you get the yes, that you get the reply or the meeting booked, whatever it is. And the same thing with email 3. And within email 3, you want to take a different approach again, but you also want to mention that, like, look, this is the last email. I'm not going to bother you anymore. But if you're still interested, I'm more than happy to send you over the case study and kind of go about it in that way. So overall, they're the 3 kind of pillars to email outreach. I strongly recommend that you test each 3 of those pillars. Give each one a very healthy sample size. I would say between 50 and 100 emails sent of each type, so that you, as I say, you're going to give each one a very healthy sample size. And at that point, you've got actionable data that you can kind of pull from, see what's working better, and then moving forward, you can triple down into what's working best for you. Now, the one thing that I mentioned at the start of the video that nobody else is doing, that's really going to separate you from the rest, is running retargeting ads. So on your calendar, right? On your scheduler, what you can do is embed that scheduler onto a ClickFunnels page. Obviously, for those of you in the Quantum Agency program, you guys have got all of my sales funnels templates, plug and play templates that you can just literally change out my branding, put your branding in within ClickFunnels. So put your scheduler onto those pages, onto those sales funnel pages, and then send the traffic. When you put your scheduler in, like an email saying, telling a prospect to book in a call, send them to that web page, because what you can do is you can put a pixel on that web page. Again, for those of you in the Quantum Agency program, obviously you guys know how to do all of that, right? So what that's then going to do, that pixel is going to track those who go to it, and then you can run retargeting ads to that audience. And in those retargeting ads, you can basically say, look, the reason I'm running the reason you're seeing this ad right now is because this works. This way to grow a business works amazingly well. It's what we do for all of our clients. And then it shows them that you're genuinely practicing what you preach, right? Because if you're only doing email outreach to clients, that's all well and good, but you're doing email outreach and you're selling marketing, right? You're selling Facebook ads. So a very common objection, whether they say it or not, that Ecomm and info product founders have is, why are you doing email outreach when you're selling Facebook advertising? Why don't you do, if it works so well, why don't you do Facebook advertising to scale your business like you're telling me to do with mine? And within those retargeting ads that you run, you can kind of go a little bit left field with the approach that you take on them, right? You can in the ad copy, don't be like, don't just do normal Facebook ads saying like, come work with the best SMMA social media marketing agency and we'll get you to where you want to go, or like, do you want to get to your goals? Then start running Facebook ads. Ads like that are never going to work ever. So you want to go a little bit left field, and because you know that they've already gone through your email scripts, that's something else that you can try, is that you can kind of tie in a little bit with what you said in your email scripts, because everybody who's going to be seeing those ads has seen those emails as well, right? Because that's how they're in the audience to see the ad, right? It's because they've gone through your emails, they've clicked your scheduler, they've gone to the page, and then they've automatically been populated into that retargeting audience. And so you can kind of, tie in a little bit, make it a little bit smart, like in terms of the way that you've leveraged copy out of your email in your Facebook ad. And also, as I say, you can kind of go down the route of look, the reason you're seeing this ad is because this way of growing a business, running ads to grow any sort of business, is the number one way to grow right now. And that's why you're seeing this ad. I'm running them on behalf of our agency because it works. And you can kind of then go into saying why it works for them and why they need to be running ads themselves as well. So overall, I hope this video brought value to you. I hope it shows you exactly how you can scale an agency using what we've gone through in this video. Like, honestly, guys, if you implement on what we've just gone through in this video and you make iterations yourself, it's not always kind of like, what am I doing? Make it some iterations based on what you can see. But like, look, at the end of the day, if you go through what we've gone through in this video, you will be able to get clients. Like, this is how I've scaled my agency. This is how students of the Quantum Agency program are scaling their agencies, by implementing on what we've gone through in this video. Like, it works. It's just a matter of you staying consistent at it over a long period of time, as well as making your own iterations and being a little bit unique in your approaches. That's how you're going to separate yourself from the rest. So overall, I hope this video brought value to you. If it did, make sure you go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.